Hello everyone, welcome back to ThoseYGOguys. I'm your host Alessandro. So I have received a request of doing a deck profile on the recent pure Lightsworn deck that I have shown you guys in the duel video that I have played against my little brother Stefano's Cyber Dragon deck. Now do take into account this is the version 1 of the build that I've been testing around. There's still yet room for improvement, and yet at least we know the fact that we're going to be getting more Lightsworn in the next set, I think known as Duelist Alliance, unless it might have changed to a different name for TCG. But I think I think we all got a strong hunch that we're getting the Felice, the OCG promo card with that set. So once Felice gets out, things will be updated as well. But this is the up-to-date version, so let's get started with the deck profile. First up, we have Triple Judgment Dragon. Pretty much your boss monster. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's pretty much the heart and soul of Lightsworns. Well, I mean, the win condition, pretty much. Then we get on to Lightsworns. Do keep in mind this is pure build. This is not Dragon Ruler, at least the more popular trend variant that we've been seeing around in multiple tournaments. Next up, I play Triple Lumina. She really makes the deck really consistent and make things going. So definitely recommended 3 ofs. As you guys notice, I have cards that are like higher rarity, so I have been playing Lightsworns before the structure have came out, so yeah, just to give you that little side note there. Next up, Triple Lyla. I want to eliminate as much back row as I can, so that way I can safely make my big plays, such as dropping Judgment Dragon, do the massive destructions. Up next, I run 2 Garoths. Might be a little bit overkill, but so far, when I've been solitary and playing by myself, it's not that bad. And so far with testing, has been that big of an issue. Definitely, what I like is to at least have like a turn 1 Lumina and Garoth set up. So in a way, it'll be kind of like a Curry Bandit like style, without using Curry Bandit, where you just thinning out your deck by 5 cards, and maybe even more depending if you mill some Lightsworns with Garoth, so that way you draw some additional cards. Up next, double Ryko. Basically, if I don't have the Lumina Garoth, this one is also an ideal turn 1 play. You just set it, and then your opponent wouldn't know what you're playing, and then they'll just bluntly attack, and then, or even if they don't attack, you just flip it up, and then you just pop. So yeah. Then I play the one Celestia. I know a lot of players don't run Celestia nowadays, but I actually like Celestia. She's been pretty good in pure builds. I don't know how she is in other variants, but she's very good in pure builds because of the fact that pretty much majority of the monsters you're running are lights. Oops, sorry about the glare. Since majority of the monsters are Lightsworn, so really you don't have that big of an issue about tribute summoning. Plus her effect is a trigger effect, so I mean you just send the top 4 cards easily, and you just select 2 cards and just destroy. And then it's kind of like forcing your opponent to really try to counteract that play, which means they have to probably force them to burn some cards to stop Celestia or try to negate her effect. And sometimes when I do that kind of play, I usually have a Judgment Dragon to follow up, so it really puts my opponent in a tighter bind. And if she's sitting in my hand doing nothing, I usually pitch it for a cost for either Monster Reincarnation, which you'll see later in the deck profile, Beckoning Light, which also you see in the later in the deck profile, Lumina, Solar Recharge, stuff like that. So yeah. Then continuing on, I play triple Wulf. I've taken this template, well, not card for card, but a similar template that Drew, aka, well, formerly known as deck Silent Enigma, or aka DPYGO, I think that's what it's called. So yeah, in his build he was running like 1 Wulf and 2 Felice. Well, unfortunately Felice is not out, so I decided, let's try how triple Wulf feels. And I was at first thinking that it would be a dead draws, or I would probably have a bit of inconsistency, but overall it's not that as bad as I thought it was. It's actually really sacky in a way. Well, of course it's Lightsworn, because Lightsworn is the king of sacks. But like when I do like Riding Mills and other crazy stuff, or Solar Recharge, then Wulf becomes, and that happened, sometimes I just happen to mill Wulf, and then Wulf gets out to the field, then it expands into more options of what I can do against my opponent. So, plus it's a 2100 beat stick, which is a pretty decent size for a level 4, so you can get over a lot of things. Next up, I run 2 Jain, Lightsworn Paladin. Fairly, because it has an alright effect, which it becomes a 2100 beater when he attacks. Definitely I do like it. And it's also a fact that he's also warrior, so he's searchable through reinforcements of the army, which is one thing I really do like about the new Lightsworn support, since now we have new, new cards, and on top of that, more targets for Rhoda to grab. So Jain is pretty decent. Definitely to deal with problematic cards such as through long stretches like Thunder King Ryle that's been sitting on the board trying to create some problems or stuff like that. So it's not bad. Next up, I play 2 Raiden. I'm debating whether or not I want to play 3 O's or 2. So far, 2 has been working fine with me. But this is what brought this deck so good. The fact that you can mill 2 cards during your main phase, and depending on the situation, you might expand your plays even further. Say, for example, you could mill a Wulf or other stuff, and then Raiden becomes much more than just a beat stick. Then you could make into your Xyz play or even your Synchro play. So Raiden is pretty unique in itself. Level 4 tuner, and it's also a warrior, searchable. So definitely I really love this card. This card really helps this deck a lot. Up next, Erin. She has an okay effect, of course, it's namely because the name, because you need to get 4 different Lightsworns with different names in order to summon JD, or aka Judgment Dragon. But her effect is kind of come in handy depending on your matchups, such as like Gear Gears. Like if you're playing against a Gear player and they set their Gear armor, you could just summon Erin and then you just attack and forcing that armor to back into the deck. So it's caused a bit of disruption to their plays. So yeah. So it is very unique in itself. Plus it can disrupt the hands as well. I've almost forgot about the hands. Like, she can attack into their face down fire or ice hand. And the best thing is she doesn't destroy and send into the graveyard. She just put them back into the deck, which is really good as well. So good disruption against the hands. Then the last Lightsworn, I played one Minerva. Just for that, again, A, the different name, and B, mainly once she been sent to from hand or deck to the graveyard, then her extra mill effect kicks in, and sometimes that extra mill could either be the last final piece of the puzzle of bring out Judgment Dragon, or even the fact that it could be a Wulf or other stuff. So Minerva has a bit of utility with this entire deck. So definitely I'm running a one of. I don't think more than that is heavily needed. Maybe 2, possibly 3 is overkill. So far I chose to run 1, and so far she's been working out well. I don't think I feel the need of running more than that. Then of course the one Honest. Again, they're all lights. I mean, do I need to reiterate that? Yeah, it makes your Lightsworn monster or any light monster impenetrable in battle. So yeah. Then finally, to round up our monsters, and of course this is our non-light monster, the triple Necrogarnas, because you need defense, as I emphasize it strong enough. And on top of that is Warrior, so if you need a decent discard outlet for whatever the reason, monster reincarnation, beckoning light, or for Lumina, you can, and you have a Rhoda, you can just Rhoda, get Necrogarna, and then you do the cards that I mentioned earlier, and then discard Necrogarna, and then continue on. Necrogarna comes in handy when it comes down to defenses, and it's pretty cool. And the best thing is that it's ranked on level 3s, and I do have some level 3s such as Minerva and Luminous, and I can just overlay into cards like Levier, and sometimes use Levier's effect to recycle the already banished Necrogarnas and then refuel my defenses. So there's some synergy within that. So that completes the monsters. I don't know how many monsters there are. I'll have a deck list in the description below. So yeah. So moving on to the spell cards. We're running 3 Solar Recharge since this is a pure Lightsworn build. You don't need to worry about having incorrect monsters or having some dead cards. If you already have a Wulf in hand or a Minerva or stuff like that, they're good discard outlets for discard files. Sorry, for Solar Recharge, and Solar Recharge get things rolling. It adds a bit of consistency with drawing 2 and milling 2 cards. The next card might be a little bit overkill, but so far I am running 3 Monster Reincarnation. I know it seems a bit overkill, because basically I want to focus on recycling Judgment Dragon in case I do mill it. So far I don't have much problems with Monster Reincarnation being a deck card. Usually I'll have some options depending on what stuff it gets milled in the graveyard. So sometimes at most I've seen 2 get milled, and then I end up getting the last one in my hand, or stuff like that. Or I have 2 in hand. I don't know. At random times, but they do come in handy when they become live. Yes, it is a neg 1, but sometimes that neg 1 becomes a big plus depending on what you're bringing back. Next up, the 1 Charge of Light Brigade, staple for any deck that runs Lightsworns. Mill the top 3 cards and search for a Lightsworn monster. Adds consistency. Too bad it wasn't around the days when Lightsworn became tier 0 and they have, or became one of the top decks where when Charge of Light Brigade was at 3. I wish I was, well then again, it was so expensive. I don't even have the money to even purchase that deck. So, like I said, adds consistency. Sorry. To the deck. Add whatever Lightsworn monster you need, and sometimes, like usually when I have this in opening hand, sometimes depending on setup, I can sometimes manage to have like a Lumina Garoth turn 1 setup. Depends on the mills and depending on the cards in hand and so forth. And then moving on, triple Mystical Space Typhoons. Again, more back row hate. You want your plays to go through, and yeah, basically. And if they Phoenix Chain you, then you could just like chain Mystical Space, get rid of Phoenix Chain, stuff like that. Definitely try to eliminate as much back rows so that way your big play, aka Judgment Dragon, will get onto the field and will have no disruptions by your opponent's cards. And finally, to round the spells, we have 1 Reinforcements of the Army, aka Rotom. Basically, it has 1 level 4 or lower warrior type monster from your deck to your hand. Basically, we have multiple targets. We got Necrogarnas, we have Aaron, we have Raidens, we have Jains, we have Garoths. I mean, we got plenty of targets to grab with Reinforcements of the Army. And recently, from the July 2014 ban list, Reinforcement of the Army is going to 2. I don't know if I need to bump this up to 2 or just keep it at 1 because I don't want to cut down the deck from, in terms of like the number of monsters, increase the spell count. Because I want to have some consistency and gain different monsters with different names into the graveyard. So the Roam World seems fine to me. It's been working fantastically, so I have no issues with that. And to round out the deck is our trap count. We only play 2, and those are Beckoning Light. I know people may discount this card because it's not good and stuff, but it's not really that bad. It's a really, really dangerous card once it fully resolves because 1, you discard your entire hand, so pretty much you discard any cards that you might feel like is not needed in your hand and needs to be in the graveyard, like Necrogarna, Wolves, so on and so forth. And then you bring back Light Monster equal to the same number of cards you discarded back into your hand. So cards like Honest, Judgment Dragon, so on and so forth. So if it resolves, it's pretty much GG right there. So that rounds up the main deck. This is 40 cards. It's been performing pretty well. Moving on to the extra deck. The extra deck still needs some work. I'm missing some cards, but I just kind of like mitigate some of the cards I'm missing with random cards I find in my collection. So do bear with me. I play 1 Scrap Dragon for extra destruction and trying to eliminate some back rows. Then I play 1 Stardust Dragon for protection, just in case if they do have some way to stop my Judgment Dragon play or anything that hurts my standard strategy like Dark Hole or Torrential, Bombless, stuff like that. I mean, this is there. I need to invest on Stardust Spark Dragon. I'm surprised I didn't acquire that card recently, but I'm still working on that. Then I play 2 Michael, the Arc Lightsworns. This card is really powerful. I'm not kidding you. I cannot stress enough the fact that you could pay 1,000 life points and you can banish whatever card on your opponent's side field is just like, bye. It's too good. It's 2,600 beater, and it's easy to bring out. I mean, Lumina plus Raiden equals Michael, or Minoru plus a level 4 Lightsworn monster equals Michael. I mean, it's not that hard. Michael is very powerful, and when it dies, by whatever the reason, through your own Judgment Dragon's effect or whatever, his other effect kicks in where you can recycle some of your Lightsworn monsters, any number, and put them back in your deck, and you gain 300 light points per Lightsworn monster. So this is pretty cool. The fact that you gain 300 light points, which means you can keep constantly spam Judgment Dragon or another Michael's effect. Definitely this card helps this deck a lot. This is pretty much what I consider a secondary boss outside if Judgment Dragon's goal is being hard to accomplish or so. And then, of course, if you're making 7s, then Black Rose is the mandatory. Field Nuke. Force players to make plays that they don't want to burn up, because if you're playing Lightsworn, they know in the back of their heads that Judgment Dragon will always be there. Yeah, enough said. Hold on. Sorry about that. Then next up, I'm running Hierarchic Sun Dragon Overlord Heliopolis. Basically, you're rank 8. Just in case if you don't successfully OTK your opponent, if you have like multiple Judgment Dragons, that is an option. If I do get my hands on Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand, definitely this will be the rank 8 monster over Heliopolis, because Felgrand's effect is so powerful, it's not even funny. Yeah, and the reason why I'm running a rank 8 is so that you don't deck out and end up killing yourself. So that's another thing. Next we have 101. Problematic monsters that you feel like needs to be dealt with. I mean, it's there. One Diamondar Wulf. It has actually some unique synergy. The fact that not only can you do it to himself, I mean, you can also, if you have like a face-up, let's see, Wulf, you can do that, or a face-up Ryko, and you just boom boom, and just start blasting more cards out of your opponent's side of the field. So this card actually has wonders. Then one Constellar Omega. Since you're running all lights, and it's not hard to make rank 4 light XE monster that requires 2 level 4 light monsters. And Constellar Omega has a really awesome effect to protect itself. So you have a pretty powerful 2400 beater that's unaffected by spells and traps. So pretty cool. Then the one Starleash Paladin, just in case you need to get that extra push, and opponent's card effect is become somewhat problematic. I mean, you can make it into the Paladinamo, and it has a pretty good effect. And once he dies, you get a +1 from his effect to draw a card. So it's not bad. I definitely like him. The one Gaga Cowboy, basically they still alive by a thread. You can just make Cowboy and just go pew pew pew, just beat them down with 800 burn damage when you make him in defense mode. So definitely a nice finisher. Then one Daigusto Emerald, just in case if for whatever the reason, if you would keep milling Judgment Dragons and you need them back, I mean, you could always make into Daigusto Emerald and just shuffle the Judgment Dragon back into your deck, and then you draw cards. I mean, it's by then, like in late game, your deck should be very small enough, so that way the chance of having a Judgment Dragon in your hand is pretty high. Then to our rank 3s, we have one Levier, the Sea Dragon, to recycle our banished cards, aka Necrogarnas. That has some really nice applications to it. And finally, in case something bad is happening, you could always make number 49 Fortune Tune just have a nice beefy defense, and that way you can assure yourself that you won't die very quickly. So let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Huh, I only have 14. Give me a sec, guys. Oh, there it is. And finally, I knew there was something strange about the synchros. Also throw in like one HTS Behemoth. Sorry about that, guys. Basically, if you go Lumina, Minerva, you can make into over level 6 if you want. I rarely make into him, so that's an option. So yeah, that's 15 extra deck monsters. Overall, this deck has been performing very well. I've been enjoying it so far. Leave a comment down below what you guys think. Is it really helpful? Does it motivate you to play pure build or so? I know this is a little bit unique in its own way, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So whatever you do, guys, go check out our channel and leave a comment below if you have any further questions, and I'll hope to reply to them as soon as possible. And I'll see you guys later when I ever get a chance. So take care, and see you later. Bye-bye.